Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Your Delusional podcast, hosted by myself, LaTerra, Wair. I hope your week is everything you want it to be and more. This is a new week. I hope your week has been great. My week has been great. You're someone who's joining me because you follow the main content. There's an exciting video happening on Sunday, and it's going to explain a lot. So make sure that you are staying tuned for that. I hope that that goes well. I'm still trying to figure out kind of what's going on with the pod, specifically for my audio listeners. The video podcast is a way for me to legitly be accountable and hold it up, because before, when I was just uploading pods to an audio version, it seemed like the podcast would sometimes go up, sometimes not go up. So I think now what I'm just going to start doing is uploading the actual podcast to the website. I'm getting into weird logistics and behind the scenes stuff, but basically I'm going to start just uploading the podcast to the website probably Thursday nights. So by the time Friday rolls around, it'll just be there, but the video podcast will be live on Fridays, same time, just because of technical things. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to fix it. So I just don't know why the audio version of the podcast is not going out the way it's supposed to be going out, if that makes sense. But then last week, if you're an Apple Podcast listener or watcher, I guess the Apple Podcast is not streaming, or it's saying that there's a video attached to it, but there is no video. It's just audio. So I don't know what's going on. Long story to say all that, but thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. Regardless, if you were listening to this on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, hello. If you are watching me or watching here, joining with me today, hi. What a long, drawn out introduction, but hello, I'm glad you're here. Guys, let me be honest. This is one of my favorite parts of my day now. Of my week, I guess. I really enjoy coming on here to podcast, to just talk to you guys, I guess, about stuff that's on my heart. And it's really nice seeing the audience, interaction and everything like that, right? Because I was really scared. I was really, really super scared, but this is doing a lot better than I thought it was going to do. And I'm really glad that I'm able to finally push this out, because this is something I've been working on for a year and a half, 2 years now, and we're finally here. Yeah. So on today's podcast episode, I kind of just wanted to, there's been a lot going on, right? There's been a lot of topsy-turvy turning in the ether, in the realm, and I don't like it. I feel like there's been a lot of people recently just in my life or around life that I've seen, and just on the internet and all this stuff, and there is no accountability in this world. It seems like I truly do hate that. I'm someone who thinks that it's so important to take accountability in the stuff that you do, not just for other people, but for yourself, because you need to understand, you need to understand what being accountable is like, and you need to understand why you should be accountable. Sometimes being accountable is hard because it makes us feel bad at the end of the day, but that hurt should be there. It's good for you. It's going to, help your character development as you move forward. I don't know where this lack of accountability is coming from. Why, I should say. I don't know why everyone has all of a sudden just lost their minds and thinks that they're not responsible for anything that happens in their life. They're not responsible for what they do to other people or anything like that. And it's really bugging me. And here's the thing too. Anything that I'm about to say, because I know this is going to come up later, anything that I'm about to say, I am not specifically targeting or talking about anyone. If you feel as though I am talking about or targeting you, then if the shoe fits, it fits, right? And this is me saying that right now. There is no specifics I'm about to drop in this video, because I don't want anyone to feel that way. But if this is talking to you and you feel the type of way about anything I'm gonna say, then maybe you should look at yourself. I'm gonna say that. I want to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is the lack of accountability. I think that I myself have been responsible for contributing to these people that I'm talking badly about. It's real easy to not be accountable for things that you do. At the end of the day, I truly think that it's crazy. Or the situations that I'm specifically talking about, which are like 3 that I've seen like very recently within the last 2 months. It's so crazy to not want to take accountability for something simply because you feel entitled to the manipulation that you're doing by taking the lack of accountability. And when I say that, I'm gonna give you an example. We're gonna use Steve and Susie, right? Those are gonna be our names. Susie is constantly lashing out at Steve. And anytime that Susie yells at Steve, Susie tells Steve that she is yelling at him because Steve never tells her that she's pretty. That's the issue. So if Susie has talked to Steve about this and Steve is actively trying to fix this, but Susie is just holding on to this one thing that happened this one time to just keep going back to, and she just so she can yell at Steve, that is manipulation, right? Let's go further. So Steve sticks up for himself and Steve tells Susie, hey, I've really been working on this. I've seen the growth. It's very clear to see the growth that I've made in this, and you're just yelling at me now for no reason. And then Susie brings it back up. That is manipulation. You know why? Steve has now fixed something that Susie has asked him to fix, but Susie is holding on to old shit that she knows that he feels emotionally bad about doing, which is why he tried to fix it. And she's now just spinning that narrative forever and ever and ever, right? That's a real loose example. I'm trying to not give away too much. Susie in that situation is the manipulator. She's the aggressor, and she also does not want to take accountability when Steve tries to tell her, hey bro, this is too much, right? And it all stems back to an issue that was valid. I think that we all need to start seeing that there are these, I don't know what you call these, but there's a special type of lie. And it's the lie that has like so many little random bits of truth sprinkled into it that it seems like it's not a lie, but it is a lie. Us as a collective, as a people, need to find those people who that's all they spew, right? And you need to hold them up. You need to tell them like, girl, you need to be more accountable, because it's sick, y'all. When people literally just like go on about and spreading these stories and like telling these crazy half truths, I guess, that seem so credible, but it's only the parts in which they are wrong that they take out and that they alter. And it's like you have so many pieces of the truth in it though that it seems really crazy. And have you guys ever been told a story where if someone would have added in that one little extra detail, it would have completely turned the story? But that one detail is what they know will turn the story. Instead of saying that, they will negate it because they don't want to be held accountable for the thing that they did wrong. That is a form of manipulation. And I think that's more so what I've been trying to get at, right? I think that there's just been this increase of people who just, I don't know. It's just this lack of, like, no one wants to be held accountable for anything, but they still want to do the bad thing. I get it if you're someone who's maybe done something bad and you'll never do it again and you just don't want to hear about it, so you lie, right? I'm not saying that's right, but I get it. But if you're someone who is just lying to lie, and then when you lie to other people on top of the lies because you don't want anyone to hold you accountable for the initial lie, I think you're sick. I think you may need to get help. And it kind of is just scaring me how many of those people I've just been running into. And I'm like, why do you not see the problem in what you're doing? It's just giving like, I know you weren't raised that way. I want to see more people being accountable for what they're doing, because I don't think that people are really realizing this, but anytime that you make a mistake, right, and then you don't take accountability for it, so you don't perceive it in your brain to be something that you need to change, you then take that ideology and you go on and you input that into the world. And those same things are the things that you put on other people. Those are things that you teach other people. This is how people become like harsh, negative versions of themselves, and you go and ruin someone's life. I have this whole thing about being weak-minded that I'm not gonna spew on here. I'm gonna be honest, sometimes I think some people are a little bit more weak-minded than other people. I do think that there are people out here, these non-accountable people, who are so good at it. And they will just go and ruin people's lives, right? And I think that also too, how do I say? I think it's very easy to not be accountable, right? And when you base your entire life on false realities, because that's what that then creates, it just turns into a whirlwind of problems, a whirlwind of situations that really should not be happening. There's nothing you can really do about that, unfortunately. Once people have created all these problems and stuff like that, it's so much harder to backtrack, right? And that's why accountability, I think, is so important, is because when you're going forward in life, once you've done a lot of things, you cannot undo a lot of things. So it's just kind of like you can start over, right? And I'm a big advocate of that. You can definitely start over. And I just think there are some things that you now will have to live with in your life, because you never wanted to be an accountable person. You never wanted to take responsibility for your actions and everything like that. It's just like, at what cost? I constantly think about that. I constantly am just like, there are so many things I cannot do because I feel very responsible for my own life. Maybe that's something that is an issue, is that there are so many people who just don't feel responsible for their own lives and responsible for their own actions and stuff like that. But I'm someone who's a very firm advocate of like, once you become an adult, like I'm not saying like 18 adult type thing, but like I feel like a smooth 21. Once you become an adult for real, like you are responsible for your own life. And a part of that responsibility is just knowing how to be accountable and knowing how to move through life and all that kind of stuff. And some of y'all lacking. Some people out here are lacking and they're ruining people's lives. And I'm really sick of seeing it. But also too, I believe if you are someone who is letting your life be ruined by one of these other people, you as well need to be accountable for your own actions and for your own life and stand the fuck up. There needs to be more accountability in the world, just point blank period. I think that the lack of accountability is sick. I think that people need to realize that your life is your life, and your lack of accountability and lack of responsibility should not impact other people's lives. All across the internet and stuff right now too, there's this big turnaround in people just kind of being like, hey, I messed up and wasted a large part of my life and I need to take that back. And that is accountability, right? I'm not saying that you have to sit here right now and just like have this full awakening, but if you're somewhere doing something and it's not bringing you joy, it's not making you happy, if you're somewhere and you're someone who is just constantly thinking, oh my God, why is my life so miserable? Oh my God, why is everything happening to me? Baby, everything isn't happening to you. And I'm sorry to tell you, I'm sorry to be the one. Everything's not happening to you though. There's definitely some times where it's so much easier to feel like everything in the world is happening to us instead of for us. But you need to take some accountability in that. And you need to look outside of yourself and look within yourself and figure out where you went wrong and start that over so we can be better as a collective, to be honest, because I'm real tired of just seeing everyone be horrible and just not fix it. Myself included. Y'all, I've been so sick of myself. I lately, and I'm saying this in a very vulnerable state, I have personally just not been my happiest with, I've been happy with myself, right? And I don't want to say that I'm not happy with myself, because I think that people's words are very powerful and all that kind of stuff. But I haven't been the happiest with my habits and all that kind of things. And then I've just been like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. Oh my gosh, I can't do this. Oh my gosh, I can't do that. No, it's literally just me being lazy. It's me not having any discipline. It's me allowing the changes that are going on in my life to sway me to believe that it's okay to fall off the track and the track and the paths that I've set for myself, and that's not okay. To be honest, it's not okay at all. And like I said at the beginning, I'm talking to myself here as well. I'm not just talking to any targeted person. I need to get on it. You need to get on it. We need to get on it so we can be better people. So you can walk into the world and not just be having all these weird thoughts and angry feelings or negative feelings. And so you can just start every greeting, every experience that you have on a positive note. When you want to tell someone something and you don't know how to tell them something, and it's that they're the problem, and that's the elephant in the room, is that you're the problem. I'm the problem. In your own life, you can be the problem. It's a perfect segue into what the next topic is, which is within accountability. We're going to talk about self specifically now, not just people who put other people's problems. But in self specifically, when it comes to being accountable, I think that you need to understand that your problems are not everybody else's problems. If you have a partner, if you have family, community, it's great to share your problems and to be able to vent. And you should be in spaces that allow you to vent and allow you to feel seen and heard and all those types of things. But at the end of the day, everyone else has their own problems. Everyone else has their own life as well. And your problems are not everybody else's problems. Your life is a individual experience, and sometimes you will have things that make you upset. That is simply your own problem. And that's kind of a hard truth to hear sometimes. It's easier for me to want to be like, if I have a problem, I need everyone to hear me out. I need my brothers to hear me out. I need my mom to hear me out. I need my boyfriend to hear me out. I need all these people to hear me out when I have these problems, right? But at the same time, if I'm going and venting to my coworkers, if I'm going and venting to my grandparents, to my mom, whoever, my problems aren't their problems. It's a you thing that you have to deal with. And I think that sometimes we want to sit here and put all of our problems onto everyone else too, because we don't want to deal with them by ourselves. And I think that you need to be honest with yourself in those moments. And you need to just tell yourself hey, I'm literally just having a fit right now. I'm having a meltdown right now. I need some time to understand what it is that I'm doing that's making me upset, or what it is in my life that's not making me happy, and stop putting all of my problems onto everyone else. Because if you put all of your problems onto everyone else and you just make it about them, it then becomes about not even what the initial issue is. You could turn it into something just hey, so-and-so doesn't want to hear me, and now you're mad at that other person. And it's bro, the issue started with you and you being upset and you just wanting to push everything onto everyone else. So I think that's something that we need to reel in in an introspective way, is just thinking that everybody else's problem is also our problem. And I think that that'll help people learn to just deal with things individually, which is super important, because if you can deal with stuff individually, then you can, again, be better to go out into the collective and deal with things collectively. An example that I have of this whole thing, right? Because I don't want you guys to feel like I'm just talking at you or nothing. When I was starting on this content creation journey, I would vent to my brother all the time, right? And I would just tell him about how I wasn't seeing the growth I wanted. And I would feel like I'm putting my all into stuff, but in truth, I wasn't. In truth, I was kind of just holding things to last minute, or just doing things that were the easy route, and not really dedicating time to my craft like I should have been dedicating the time that I wanted to my craft. And then my brother told me, he was like, bro, you just don't want it bad enough. And then I was real hurt, right? I was hurt. I was upset. I was sick. And I was mad. Like, I was a little angry at him, not like yelling angry at him, but personally, I was angry at him a little bit. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, that broke my heart. To be very honest with you, I thought that I was going so hard, and I was like, I'm working so hard. I'm doing everything so much. And like, what do you mean I don't want enough? And like, I was upset with him, but I had to really look within myself and just be like, I do know that I don't want it bad enough. I think that at a point I was making content to just say that I was making content, and I wasn't putting like my full potential into what I was doing. I wasn't really like actively trying to be better necessarily. I was just doing it for the sake of doing it. And I think that that's more so what he was trying to get at. And so I'm here to say that sometimes accountability looks different depending on where you're at. A lot of the times it's a lot easier to hold other people accountable when you can hold yourself accountable. And it's easier to understand how to navigate the frustrations that come along with accountability and all that kind of stuff when you understand how to navigate your own emotions when you're not being accountable and when you're letting yourself down, and how to learn to talk to yourself and de-escalate that situation within so you can do that outwardly. Like, my whole thing is, I get no one is perfect. Everyone will have moments where they're slipping up. Everyone will have moments where they're not being the best version of themselves that they could be. And that's okay. It's definitely okay to slip and fall and to just kind of reevaluate and to think about where you messed up. But what's not okay is to make 1,010 excuses as to why you can't do something, and in not one of those excuses is it you. Let's just be accountable. It's a lot easier to not blame yourself or to get frustrated with like literally everyone else when there's situations when you're not being accountable, but sometimes it's just us. That's sad. And that is what that is. Accountability is hard. I think it is. Accountability is such a hard topic to teach someone, to learn, and all that kind of stuff, but we can do it. We should do it. And it starts with you. Me. You. Moving into your delusional topic, if you do not know, is just a topic that someone sends in, we talk about it, and we discuss. The whole point of the show is to just express your feelings, to share where you are, or I guess to share where I'm at, and if I have any takes that y'all think are completely crazy, like, just let me know. Your delusional topic is the way that life works out for some people and not others is not fair. I don't agree. Although life should not be miserable, that does not mean that life necessarily should be fair. There is nothing that tells us that life will be fair. And I think that it's kind of crazy to be hateful or envious towards another person because their life is better than yours. I think that sometimes you just have to work with the cards that you're dealt with. Work with the cards that you're dealt and make the best out of those situations. There are plenty of examples in the world now that have not had the most unfair circumstances, and they've grown exponentially. They're great people. They do great things. They're very successful. They have lucrative careers, all that type of stuff. And their life wasn't great in the beginning compared to people who are maybe like nepotism babies and stuff like that. And even in being a nepotism baby, life isn't necessarily always what you thought it would be or what it should be in your perspective. It's kind of hard to fall into the fairness game because I very much so get that. I do wish that life was a little fair, right? I wish that people didn't pass away so early. I wish that cancer wasn't a thing. I wish that there are mothers who don't have stillborns. Like, I wish all these types of things. And unfortunately, that is just not life. That is very sad. And there are hardships. Some people are born into poor families. Some people are born homeless. Everyone's life situation and everyone's set of circumstances is very different. Despite all that though, I think that I can't sit here and honestly say that I agree with that comment, just because I think that promotes falling into an entitlement trap. And when I say an entitlement trap, I mean when you get into the mentality of just blaming all the things that happen on your blaming everything bad that happens on your life based off how you were born or based off the set of circumstances that you are, and using that as an excuse to never make anything better of your life. That is an entitlement trap that I feel like I can't promote. I can't tell people to lean into. While I do get the comment and the life isn't fair, I do understand that, but nothing, like I said, in the world told us that life was supposed to be fair. And so from that, you just kind of have to make the best of what you can make the best of sometimes. And I say that as someone who has not had the most fair life at all. And I think it's very easy to fall into that, like, it's just like they had it so much easier. You know, it's definitely easier to fall into that kind of mentality. But at the end of the day, no one said life is supposed to be fair, and so you just have to make the most out of what you have, and you can be successful no matter your life circumstances. Sometimes I think if you want to be, you can find a way to make this life and this experience enjoyable. But let me know what you guys think. Moving forward into the what we watching segment. What we watching is just me telling you guys about what I've been watching. Some shows are new, old movies, new and old. I'm trying to get on my little Zoom movie pickup, but recently I've just been watching a lot of shows. So this week's what we watching, I have been watching this show called Vanderpump Villa. So this is where all my reality TV girlies tune in at. If you have not seen Vanderpump, it's a show that I got put on by one of my old managers. I really love it. It's kind of in the Bravo universe. It's starring Lisa Vanderpump and her staff that she chooses for these like little moment experiences. This season is season 2 of the show, and they are in a castle in Italy, and they're just showing the staff. And then at the end of the show, there's like a little reward for everyone. I'm on episode 6 right now, and I think I have like 4 more episodes to go, or maybe this is the last episode. I don't really know. I didn't check into it, but I think I have like 4 more episodes to go. It's very fun, very juicy. You get to see a lot of different personalities. I'm personally a people watcher, which is why I feel like I found a very fun interest in reality TV lately. The show does stream on Hulu, and I'm not sure if it's on Bravo. Lisa Vanderpump is from the Bravo TV universe, and if you don't know, I believe she was in like a Real Housewives show, maybe. I'm not really sure about her lore and everything like that, but I just know that, and then this just kind of conspired into like a little spin-off thing. But it's a great show to watch. It's on Hulu. It's a really quick little watch. I usually watch it while I'm like eating dinner, eating lunch, or just whatever. Let me know what you guys are watching also in the comments down below, or, you know, just comment it. I think on Apple and Spotify, you can also comment that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the Your Delusional podcast. For our audio listeners, please be sure to rate the show on Apple and on Spotify. And for our YouTube watchers, thank you guys so much for watching along as well. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and to follow our production company at LT Legacy Productions on Instagram for more real-time updates, as well as to follow me personally at the LaTerra Wair on Instagram for little reels and insights about the podcast. I will see you guys next week. Bye.